Hello everybody, welcome to video number 19 in my Richard Laymon horror novel review series. If my voice sounds a little bit strange today, that's because I've been ill for the last few days, but I really wanted to get this video out now because I read this book last night. It's very fresh in my mind, so I'd like to just talk about it now. It is Among the Missing from 1999. And there is the cover art by Steve Crisp, as usual. It depicts a female police officer crouching over the body of a presumably dead woman. It's a really good cover art as usual by him. There's the spine. It's a fairly short book at 309 pages, and here is the synopsis. It says, at 2:32 a.m., a jaguar roars along a lonely road high in the California mountains. Behind the wheel sits the beautiful wife of Professor Grant Parkington. In spite of the night's chill, she wears only a skimpy nightgown. She has left Grant behind. She's after a different kind of man, someone as wild, daring, and passionate as herself. The man she wants is waiting for her near the road. Mrs. Parkington stops for him. Where to, she says. He suggests the bend, where the Silver River widens and there's a soft sandy beach. With the stars overhead and moonlight on the water, it's an ideal place for love. But no love will take place there tonight. In the morning, a naked body will be found, a body missing more than its clothes. Yeah, Among the Missing, aka Richard Laymon writes a Giallo. Because that's what this feels like to me. This is less a horror novel and more of, if you know what Giallo is, it is a genre of Italian mainly filmmaking, which involves crime, mystery, police procedural stuff. They're usually wildly complex in their plotting. They usually save the explanation to the very, very end. There's usually tons of red herrings thrown in there, and that's what this is. It's a really, when Argento was flailing around towards the end of his career, making garbage like the film Giallo, that's what it's called, and The Card Player, he could have done a lot worse than adapted this, in my opinion. Because it's really good. It's so tightly plotted and meticulously planned and well-paced. There is not a wasted line in this book. And let me give some context to why I wanted to read this one at this point. It's because in my previous review, I had spoken about this abomination here, After Midnight. And I had basically dismissed this as being 400 pages of aimless, plotless, tedious trash. That's what it is. It's just mind-numbingly stupid garbage for the most part. And I had also said at the end of that review that I wouldn't be surprised if Richard Laymon's publishers didn't take him aside and say, listen, Richard, we will publish this because you've nothing else to offer, but what with this one and the previous book or two you've given us, you've got to get back on form, because you can't keep turning in these meandering, boring, interminable descriptions of sex and violence and pretending it's some kind of a novel. Get back to plots, get back to stories. That's what you made your name. That's how you built your reputation in the 80s and early 90s. 1997 that was published, and then in 1998 he did indeed come back with a bang with The Midnight Tour, one of his best books, and in 1999 was a hell of a year for him because he came up with this one and Come Out Tonight, which I've already reviewed, and I said it was a major surprise. So yeah, I absolutely love this little book. I think it's a gem. It's quite different to the stuff he usually does, and in what ways is it different? Well, like this. First and foremost, the characterization in this book, by Richard Laymon standards, is well developed. All of the characters are believable, even though some of them are doing horrendous things. It's still believable. Nothing is completely far-fetched and implausible. The relationships are well established. I guess there's only one tiny thing I would criticize. It's that the two main characters here, it's a young female police officer whose name is Pack, that's a nickname. And her father-in-law is also on the police, he's the sheriff. And, you know, sometimes the father-in-law will make these weird kind of sexually charged comments to his daughter-in-law. And although that's part and parcel of Richard Laymon's stuff, here it did feel a bit off because it's not in tune with the rest of that character, the sheriff. He's depicted as this really cool guy. He's supposedly the hero of our piece. And why was he making those weird comments? It was just a bit strange. So, but with that aside, all the characters were a lot of fun. As I said about the Giallo genre, Laymon does throw in quite a few red herrings into this, and the plot is not as simple as you think it's going to be. And I will be completely honest, I figured out who the killer is before the reveal, but that didn't in any way spoil anything. If anything, it added to my enjoyment because there was some dramatic irony thrown in there. You know, when the reader knows more than the characters, the fun of the novel then became not who is the killer, but how will the other characters come to know who the killer is. And there is a scene, I'm really trying so hard to avoid any kind of spoilers in this, because it's the kind of book which, by its nature, you shouldn't spoil anything. You should discover it all for yourself. But I will just say that there's a scene at the end of this book where the one of the police officers starts to suspect who the killer is. And I think that scene is one of Laymon's very best. It's so tense, and it's so well written and creepy. So I'm not really going to talk much about this one because, like I said, I don't want to say anything about the plot beyond just setting it up for you. So the book opens with a prologue where this woman meets this guy. We don't find out the guy's name. He's just called the Man, I think. And they go off for this midnight tryst, and the woman ends up getting killed and beheaded. And that sets up the chain of events where over the next 300 pages, we come to find out who did what, why they did it, how they did it, and how it's all intertwined. That's another good thing about this book. It is, I think I mentioned, it was so carefully plotted, unlike certain books I could mention, which was just like he made it up as he went along. This one, I would imagine he spent more time planning this than he did writing the thing, because it's so well done how all the threads combine and how even the most superfluous characters serve a purpose to the story here. It's really well done, and it's exactly the kind of thing that he needed to do after the slump that he was going through. I do think 1997 was the nadir of his career, following on from bloated nonsense that he had been writing in his 2 or 3 books up to that point. He really did come back on form with this, and right to the end of his very sadly cut short life in 2001, it will be nothing but great books from here on out. So this is very highly recommended, very highly recommended. It's not I don't think it will appear at the very top of my list of Laymon books, just because it's quite slight, and it is just a murder mystery, kind of like an Agatha Christie kind of thing. It's nothing game-changing or groundbreaking, but it's so readable. Again, I read the whole thing in one go last night, and I think you'll have a great time with it. So that's going to do it for this one. Among the Missing from 1999, a fantastic murder mystery / thriller / horror novel. Thanks for watching this, everybody. If you did watch this far, I will be back soon with another Richard Laymon novel, but until then, take care of yourselves, and bye for now.